You about Mr. James Harris. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Well, I know he wrestled as Sugar Bear Harris. I never met him then. And then I remember Jerry Lawler gave him the gimmick. You see, and when I met him, he didn't know a thing about Idi Amin or Uganda. He knew a lot about Sanatobia, Mississippi, if you want to know. So, he's supposed to be the Ugandan giant. Well, he was a giant, but he was not from Uganda. He was from Sanatobia, Mississippi.
And did you have a personal relationship with him at all?
Oh, yeah, I wrestled him and did very well. He had a great career. He had a good run with Hulk Hogan, which is where the money's at. Well, not necessarily for him, but it was a lot of money. And if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate on that a little bit as far as the money he made claims, when he wrestled Hogan?
He claims Undertaker made $500,000. He only made $18,000 in the same match. Do you remember that?
I heard that, yes.
Yeah, and I hear that a lot, but that's just, I don't know, if you don't like it, leave, or whatever they tell you. You know what I mean?
Lanny, do you take that as factual when Kamala says something like that? And what's your take when an Undertaker makes $500,000 and Kamala makes so much less? Do you think that that's just the way the business is? What's your take?
I think the way I did it, I was just, in my career of 21 years, I was just lucky to be in it. Mm-hmm. I felt I was just lucky to be there. And I knew I could be replaced very, very easily. So I just took the money and raised my family and saved and invested as if I was going to be fired, and finally I was. So, eventually they're going to wish you luck on your future endeavors. So if you don't save your money, you're going to wind up, on GoFundMe.
Do you feel that it's a discredit to someone like The Undertaker who has to bear the brunt of being paid $500,000? Didn't he earn his spot on the card the way, of course, the legendary, your brother, Macho Man, earned it? I mean, where do we draw the line as far as salaries and who's got the right to complain? And what's your take on that? Like, let's say Macho wrestled somebody and they made considerably less. Don't you feel that, Macho earned his rep and his check is accordingly,
well, I was on main events. I was on main events for 4 months, and I was so grateful. I would never consider arguing about a payoff. Here I was, a complete jabroni, and then all of a sudden I'm on NBC with Hulk Hogan, and then I'm teamed up with Mr. Perfect, and it was the greatest 4 months of my life, my career anyway. My 2 grandchildren and my daughter are the greatest things in my life. But, it's just the way the business is. Yes, Undertaker deserves every penny he ever made, and so did the Macho Man. But Kamala they were just using him as an electron, where, Undertaker was the neutron in the middle, and everybody else was rotating around him like the bum of the month. And that's the way it was. But I'll tell you what, Kamala had a lot of ring color, and I don't mean that in a racist way, just a term. Charisma, ring color. He was very fastidious with his paint. He would come in early, paint his face, and even when he made personal appearances, he would paint his face and take a great deal of care in it. He took care of his gimmick very much.
How was he as a person?
Oh, I loved him, and I think you'll find that's everybody did.
Lanny, back on the payoffs, when you were wrestling Hogan, did you take a guess what you were going to make, or did they tell you, depending on the house, did you know what you were going to make, or was it you were just hoping to get paid well?
I was more worried about what I would. If there's two. You ever hear of Dr. Wayne Dyer? He died about 5 years ago of leukemia.
Sure.
Really? Okay,
Yeah,
he's
actually,
my-
Yeah.
My mom read all his books. We had him in the house growing up. Go on.
Okay, there's two different dynamics. How may I serve and what's in it for me? And always ask yourself, how may I serve? Because the more you give, the more you get in the world. Yes. And okay, I loved Kamala, but evidently there's a lot of people on GoFundMe. If Kamala would have not made $18,000, if he would have made $36,000, which is double, right?
Right.
He'd still be just as broke when he died.
Straight to the top. We're living this life, not just dreaming it, we're doing it for real.